Dude, this is the best royalty-free music ever. Axe throwing, definitely.
It just seems dangerous, throwing axes.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Oh, wait. Should we do the splash screen? Now we're official. Yes. We
Why is-
are Marco TV, PinTech Live, episode 43. Is
Wow.
that right?
Sure.
Losing count. Yeah, wow. 43. 43 weeks of PinTech Live with Kyle Spiteri.
And
Oh, thank
Emoto.
you for the resubscribing to Wisp.
Hey, thank you.
How's everybody doing today? Did you like that intro song?
That was pretty good. You let me hear a snippet of it. I was not 100% sold on banjo, but then when I heard it, gave it a thumbs up.
Colin says throwing axes is fun after a few beers.
Sounds even more dangerous.
Yeah, pinball and axe throwing go really well together. Actually,
Does it?
I don't know, but for some reason it's a thing because it's written. I can't tell you where, but it's written in a place, and
The whole axe like jumping back at you thing is kind of nerve-wracking, you know?
yeah.
At least if I'm like shooting a gun, like it's like a 95% chance that bullet is just gonna go that way and not come back at me. Like the axe, ugh.
You hope.
You hope.
You hope. Yeah. Mr. Loaf likes a banjo. Five string jewels. So, everyone, today's going to be a chill day. We're just going to be populating the chat room, asking Kyle all sorts of pinball relevant questions. And then
Yeah.
later on the end, it becomes beer because Mr. Baxter's here.
The last
You
30
guys.
minutes, maybe the last 45 minutes can devolve, but we can keep it mostly
Right.
pinball-centric, you know? Okay, let's, this wasn't supposed to be a Q&A. This got switched to Q&A at the last minute because Emoto had a project to go do.
Hey, you're not. Don't share people my personal life.
Oh, it's not personal, it's all
The
professional.
oysters.
But then it got canceled. So we kept it as a Q&A because we didn't have time to actually get the rest of it done, so.
So for all y'all waiting for some Jungle Lord,
Sorry.
it's a coming.
We wanted to have
see
it like
Crystal?
polished a little bit better
and maybe
instead of
Midge next week. Yeah.
yeah. We'll have more Steve.
David's here. He said Kyle appropriately put his phone away before I got a chance to respond. I need to know if he wants Mars mission updates posted here.
Absolutely. I was very much considering canceling the show today to watch the new rover land on Mars in like
yeah.
50 minutes. So I think we should get some updates. Definitely keep us informed.
Well, maybe I can add it. I'll work on adding it like over the fists, like
Oh,
this
rad.
live stream on it.
Oh,
I could probably do that, right?
okay,
Work
yeah.
fast? Are they about to?
No.
Yeah.
It's supposed to touch
in
down
50
at like
minutes?
3:55 my time, so 2:55
Alright.
your time.
I'll look for it after we go through all of our little announcements.
Okay.
What else? Our free domestic shipping for orders over $99. Code is PT-WHITESTAR today. Mm-hmm. And Kyle will explain why we chose that code in a little bit later. And also, if you guys haven't heard yet, Walter Day, the legendary Walter Day, the guy that wears the referee outfit, you've seen him represented in like Wreck-It Ralph and all those good arcade movies. He's doing a pinball series, The Legacy of Pinball, and is looking for people to take pictures with their pinball machines. And so it's you and the back glass, and you'll get yourself on a official Walter Day trading card and be put in the archivals of history. They'll be on the internet forever, standing next to your favorite machine. Let me show you guys a picture of some of them. These are some of them that they've made so far. I think there's about 100 in the catalog. I'm helping Walter. Walter is a good friend of mine for many years. And so I'm going to help him collect some more because there's so many more pinball machines than what they have cataloged. We got to capture them all. It's like Pokemon. And that's why I like this game.
I think I
So,
might take mine
You
tonight.
guys in the chat, what games do you have that you would want to take a picture of? Send it in the chat. I'll let you know if that game is available. And then you can take a picture and email it to me. I'll get it over to Walter. And on the back, it'll have a little bio about the game and you, too. So it's a little cross-promotion thing going on. And it's for the sake of history. For the sake of pinball history. So let me know. And email me. If you don't do it in the chat, email me later. Send me a message on Facebook. So emoto@marcopinball.com or Facebook, Marco's Spec page or my page. Give me some pictures. Let's put you on a Walter Day card.
So cool.
Yes, your very own Walter Day trading card. And he's putting priority to people who don't have Walter Day trading cards yet. So if you fit in that category, come on. Ooh, black belt? There's definitely not a black belt.
Yeah, do that. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's such a neat
I'll respond
game.
to you guys in the chat, so I'm not like crowding the airwaves here. So in the meantime, let's go over to our product spotlight.
Can I ask a question first? For the photos, is there any sort of like, I mean...
Oh yeah, Kyle wants to do one too.
I'll definitely gonna do one. I'm gonna see if I can get my wife to do one with one of her games. But are there any like rules or like best tips? Like, I mean, obviously we want a good, well-lit picture that's in focus, but we want to get ourselves, but the game is supposed to be prominent, you know, like what would you...
So the prominent, like the main focus of the picture needs to be the back glass. It's all about the back glass. So as close in the frame you can get the back glass. You can see it's a square frame for the actual card, and then you go as close as you can to said back glass. Smile. Or you could dress up like Ben over here, who dressed up like a wizard for his sorcerer one. That's the more silly ones I've seen. But yeah, just your special mug right next to that back glass.
Amazing.
It's awesome.
Hey, also, Emoto.
Hey, Alan. Thanks for joining us.
Before we jump over and do the spotlight thing, can you maximize Streamlabs so I can kind of see the chat, like from where I'm at right now? I need to get better glasses.
Yeah. Where's your secondary monitor?
Right there next to my laptop. I guess I could have plugged it in, or put this table closer, but...
Brought it closer, yeah. You could have shimmied.
It's okay.
Who was it that was helping us with production tips a few weeks ago?
Someone handy. Well, I figured I didn't need to read the monitor this week because you are going to be here. So I didn't have to do this solo, which was the original plan.
Aren't you glad?
Yeah, I am, because that would have devolved into beer talk way sooner than...
And I would have been in the chat being like, stay focused.
No, this is pinball, not beer hour.
Mr. Valansky would also be like, Kyle, stay focused. Pinball school.
Pinball is best enjoyed with beer or water or juice.
What is... All right, well, let's go to the...
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I set that up for you. It's processing. All right, ready?
I guess so.
Look at that beautiful bracket that Kyle made.
Yeah.
Handmade, all by himself, blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, I got some scissors and I got some like 12 gauge steel and I just went. No, I figured like the product spotlight is a fun thing, maybe to show people kind of, well, my favorite job of what I do at Marco, other than this, is get parts remade. And this is one that was rather difficult, but was definitely needed. Getaway, this is used on the Getaway only, and it is the retaining bracket for the auto launch. I'll bring it up to the camera. Maybe it'll stay in focus. I've seen these have been snapped before. I've seen them welded very poorly back together. This was a product that was unavailable. So I went through the trouble of having this product remade. So this is your auto launch coil bracket for the Getaway. It is unique. No other game uses this bracket, so it is a one-off piece. But if you don't have it, the thing won't work. The Getaway uses a really big launch coil. So instead of using, Williams changed their auto launch a few times, but this used like a whole coil-sized launch coil. But this bracket, when you look at this, it just seems like, it's a couple pieces of metal spot welded and bent, okay. But, learning the different suppliers and the people who make things for us and work with us, there are things that some people do better, right? You've got things called gussets on some brackets. These are small indentations that reinforce this 90-degree bend here. Finding vendors a lot of vendors will be able to make flat pieces of metal and put holes in them, but sometimes these small stamped bits or those gussets are impossible. So we had to work with a few vendors to get this made, but now it's available. The retaining bracket, which mounts in these 3 holes here and holds the coil in place, is also available now, and you can buy them as a set. I was able to get them priced pretty reasonably because we had to buy like literally a lifetime supply worth of these brackets. So yeah, we'll keep Getaways going because that's an awesome game. Everyone loves the Getaway. Thank you, Steve Ritchie, who's not here right now.
Giolis is here, and he says, how hard is it to make classic stern spinners?
Well, it's hard to make them the way that they were made from the factory. A lot of pinball parts were stamped. So stamping, if you don't know, involves like a piece of sheet metal and then a die being forced down upon it to cut the metal. Spinners are unique because they are generally 3 or 4 pieces. So if we dissect a spinner, we've got like a piece of sheet metal, and then you have a wire, which is laid in between. And then there's usually 1 or 2 other pieces of metal that flank that wire, and then another piece of sheet metal. And then, I don't know, there's some adhering process in the middle, right? Either welding or, I don't know, I'm not sure. But I think then they're all spot welded together, right? And then they are finished and then painted or coated, and then artwork is applied. And it's hard to find a source for people, or someone to make like a metal spinner like that, consistently and also inexpensively. I mean, I could get a lot of pinball parts made, but I don't know if a lot of people would want to spend like $80, $90 for one spinner or something, right? So it's a matter of finding someone who can make these things in mass, and that's difficult. Because the other thing is tooling, right? You know, stamping not only involves like punching the sheet metal out to get your new product, it also involves like creating a custom tool to maybe make one part, and that's not cheap. That's something that is problematic with like a lot of the nylon pieces in Bally games, right? The little nylon heads that go on top of the slingshot kickers, or on the later games, the nylon pieces and the linear kickers that push out. You know, it costs 5 digits worth of money to get a tool made for a part that, you know, we want to sell for $1 a pop. You sell 15,000 of those little things before you even start making a cent in profit, right? So, you know, it's hard. So thankfully, with the advent of 3D printing, a lot of plastic pieces will become easier to make, but getting those things like spinners it is something I'd like to try to push forward, maybe even this year. You know, because I'm going to be selfish. I like to make parts that I need, and I really need some spinners for some of my Stern games, so we'll see.
Nice. Yeah, we like to help out Mr. Chiolis when we can. Oh. Right
now I'm working on like drop target banks. I'm trying to get all of the drop target banks I have, 3-4 bank, Stern, and Bally drop targets. I'm trying to get those things done. The problem is there's not a lot of documentation in the part manuals for some of these pieces.
Excellent.
So I also learned yesterday that Stern, like classic Stern, they actually had like 3 different versions of their drop target banks, and they all were slightly different, but none of them were ever like cataloged or recorded in the parts manuals. So it's hard, to get some of these things, like get the the foundation built before we start producing them. Because we like to always have all of our parts made with like a real part number, right? So you can look in your manual and say, that's what I need, I'm going to order this piece. But on some of these Stern drop target bits, we're going to have to make up part numbers, so that'll be fun. I've said too much. Everyone's sleeping now.
We're sleeping. What happened to my chat box? So, Kyle, WHITESTAR.
Did the chat box go away because you opened up the chat box app, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
You can close it. I don't need to see the chat.
I mean, I don't think so, but maybe.
Weird. Anyways, okay, let's jump into this. I'm gonna preface this by saying I am not a WHITESTAR expert. I am not. I don't know this stuff super well, but I get what's going on, and fixing corrosion is kind of pretty straightforward. But I've got 2 WHITESTAR boards here that need some work, and I've got 2 WHITESTAR boards that are different. I think Stern made like 3 or 4 different versions of this computer, and some of them are. We'll go over some of the slight differences. The first one I have here is, could you do the overhead cam, Emoto, so I could show?
Yes.
So people don't have to look at my face?
I'm responding to everyone in the chat for the Walter Day cards. Let's see.
Oh.
Overhead.
If they want to take mine, just say that it's already taken so I can take mine. Come on. So WHITESTAR was started by, this board set was started by Sega, I think in the mid-90s. So we're talking like, probably like, I think like the first games I can remember like Twister and Independence Day, up through, the later games. And I think one of the last games to use this board set was like Terminator 3, maybe. There's a few different iterations of it. But the important thing to know is the 2 biggest changes, and they're pretty easy to spot. This is from a South Park, but the first iteration of this board has the BSMT 2000 sound chip, the Brian Schmidt's mouse trap. It's a neat chip that was used in a lot of video games and pinball in the 90s. And at a certain point in the 2000s, I think one of the first games that I can remember, someone please correct me, was I think Lord of the Rings, that used the emulated version of the BSMT 2000 chip. So this is a computer out of Viper Night Driving. And you can see that the sound section is very different. Well, okay, let's jump back over to the first board too, and we can just identify some of the sections. They're not as cleanly like segment or like.
Yeah, I was just about to ask.
Sectionalized. Like a lot of the Williams boards are very sectionalized, and they're like, oh yes, this is this section, but this is the scary zone because this is where the batteries always lived and they always corroded. So you've got your processor, your game program, and your RAM. This is kind of like, this is thinking and doing zone. This over here is all of your sound and speech section. So, amplifiers, other things. You've got, this one says sound, and these are all sound and speech. So you've got multiple speech ROMs. You've got your processor for the speech computer. You've got your RAM for the speech computer, and then the BSMT 2000 chip, which makes the speech do its stuff, the sounds. It's amazing. That is why Data East and Sega and Stern games had a very different, a very vibrant sound system compared to the Williams games. The Williams games also sounded great, but the BSMT 2000 chip was what made those games unique. Now, that chip kind of disappeared in the...
Real quick, is the WHITESTAR board used in Simpsons Data East?
No.
Gary Smith was asking.
So the first iteration of Data East boards, those are all those are just like straight Williams System 11 knockoffs. That board set was used, the ripped off board set. I guess you could just call it like the Data East version. They had different variations, kind of like Williams did, but that was used like all the way up through Baywatch, right? Like that Baywatch in there has the same computer that Torpedo Alley was using 6-7 years ago. So Data East really made their hardware platform go a long time. Did the games suffer for it? I don't think so. but the WHITESTAR system was much newer. Jumping back over to this, this is like a this is a revision of the WHITESTAR system with Viper, and they did a few things that I find clever, and I think there was like another version after this, but the corrosion zone was a problem. So they started socketing some of these chips that are in the corrosion zone. So the RAM and the ROM, the program, were always socketed, but this PAL right here was socketed, and I think even on later versions of this board, some of these chips were also socketed because it was just, notorious corrosion zone. If we jump over here to the sound section, it's way different. Since the BSMT 2000 chip, I guess the story is it was just way too expensive to have remade or made in a quantity again. They emulated the BSMT 2000 sound section in this little Amtel chip. So it's basically, it is a computer just like this has its own processor, but this processor is not only like running the sound section, it's also emulating what that old chip used to do. So kind of neat. The emulated BSMT boards are backwards compatible, so you could put this board into an Independence Day. I think there's like a few things you might need to change, like some of the sound ROMs, you need to burn them different to not involve that missing ROM chip. No, wait, there is 5 ROMs. Never mind, they just moved the sockets. Anyways, you can use these backwards, but you can't use the BSMT 2000 boards going forwards, right? So I couldn't take my South Park computer and put it in a Lord of the Rings, but I could take my Lord of the Rings one and make it work in a South Park. Anyways, these are, I think, unobtainium again. I think Stern ran another batch of these, but they are very, very, very expensive. And I know Rotten Dog made them for a while, but those were flaky sometimes. So yeah, the reason I have both of these is they are both suffering corrosion damage. So today we were just going to goof off and try to get some of this nasty off. This one's a little scary because it's not like super fuzzy. The corrosions don't...
I can't really... Oh, I can kind of see. It's the white.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to see.
You can see you can see a lot of these traces here. They're like pure copper. The PAL right here.
You can see.
I had to look this up. I forgot what PAL stand for, but it's programmable array logic or something. So instead of like a ROM where you can like write and erase and then rewrite information onto it, this is like a programmable chip. It's kind of like a security chip. But these are available, but they do land in the corrosion zone and they die a lot, and this one is pretty flaky. So with this kind of a board, I'm going to try to save it for my customer, but it's going to take a lot of finagling, but we'll see if we can save it. I think this one looks clean enough. It boots and it runs, but the sound doesn't work. So I'm going to deal with the corrosion. We'll see if dealing with the corrosion fixes the sound problem, and if it doesn't, then we jump over and troubleshoot the sound section, because it could be something as simple as something that controls the speech not working with everything else, whatever. I'm going to put this one aside for now, because I'm going to work on my WHITESTAR board.
Rodrigo Torres said, the sound chips on mine is dead. Already tried everything and read that sometimes it just goes bad.
Yeah.
So tried finding it online and it's unobtainable. Might have to buy the whole board.
Oh, well, before you spend a bunch of money on a new board, I mean, send it to someone who really knows what they're doing and they might be able to fix it. Chasing down sound problems can be a huge headache because you've got to like isolate it. Like, is it an analog problem or a digital problem, right? Is my analog amplification section not doing its job, or is the more confusing kind of amorphous section of the computer in the brain, is it not sending signals the way it needs to go? I am not super good at this, but the one thing I would recommend like trying first, and if you haven't, right, is it might not just be your ROMs, right? You want to replace every socketed chip. It's easy, right? You can get new ROMs, you can get a new processor, you can get a new RAM, and replace all those chips. And if that solves your problem, there you go, you're good. But that's like always the troubleshooting step you want to take if you're lucky enough to have socketed chips, because it's easy. I say that from a pedestal of privilege because I do have access to all of this stuff, but you know, again, you'll spend 50, 60 bucks on a couple chips, and if that solves your problem, you're good to go. After that, then you have to really get into troubleshooting mode, you know. There's a guy here in South Carolina that's probably one of the best board repair people in the country, Clive at CoinOp Cauldron. Reach out to Clive and see if he will take your board and fix it for you.
Nice.
The other nice thing is if you're lucky enough to have two games that are the same, right? You swap chips again, right? So if you had like a South Park and an Independence Day, well, one of them's not working. Just swap the chips back and forth from the working one to the not, and that'll tell you your problem there too. So, anywho, we're going to work on this South Park board.
Bob, you've been right where the Perseverance team is sitting now.
Oh, we found it?
What's in store
Nice.
for them to approach landing?
Okay, we'll wait for that to start touching down.
Is it playing audio on your...
Yeah, I can hear it on my end.
Fortunately, we still have one.
Oh, I gotta
but
turn
very
it off.
soon as we approach cruise station.
Oh, but you're in like present mode. Sorry, I'm looking at Emoto getting ready to put the Mars
I was
lander.
breaking the fourth wall again, guys.
And we will lose our ability to see one
Whatever.
zero.
So what we're gonna do here is I'm just, while we chit chat, I'm gonna be working on removing this fuzzy. And if I can remove it, I'm going to try to get, once I remove it, I'm going to try to make sure we still have a solid trace in that location. Hopefully that I might have to just double patch the trace anyways because this looks really bad. But this doesn't have like too much corrosion. It looks like it ate up this data line above the PAL. I kind of want to remove the PAL just in case because there could be a trace under here that might be fuzzy. Don't want to leave anything to chance, especially on a really expensive board like this. So I'm just going to putz around with this while Emoto asks the questions.
Yeah. Can you... I don't know. How do I do this?
How do you do what?
We know the news. Everyone's hitting us and the news audio is coming over your feed. It's like, yeah, how do I mute this guy?
And it's mission over. And so
Do you have to mute it like, I don't know. We're trying to learn how to be like super fancy streamy people. Emoto's really good at it.
We each count on each other.
This is exciting, and it's neat too. Like in the past couple weeks, this is not pinball centric, but I like space. I like space exploration. There's like, I mean, what? Like Saudi Arabia landed a probe somewhere on the moon. Japan landed another probe on somewhere. I mean, space exploration. It's happening again.
Today too, even though we've had a nice, wonderful string of successes.
I'm using, I'm trying to scrape off what I can with my screwdriver. I am not going to go ham wild on these traces because I do want to make sure that we aren't going to like eliminate 100% of like evidence of where it used to be if this is totally lifted up off the board, which it looks like it might be. So I think the first step I'm going to take is I'm going to remove the PAL, and I'm going to try to do it as safely as I can. I don't think I have a 20-pin socket like this with me right now. I don't have my parts box in here anyways, so I won't be putting it back together today, but I do want to remove this so I can adequately remove the corrosion. This is a scary board to try and fix, just because it is so tightly packed. Look at all the traces on this thing. They're so tight and close and small and very delicate, and any unfortunate move can really cause all sorts of problems. So, but I want to try to save it. I don't even have a WHITESTAR game, but if I can save it, that means I have a good spare, you know, just in case. Something gross got into my flux. It's all like spotty. Maybe it's time to get a new can of flux. Ew. Anyway, yeah, I've been talking a lot.
I'm gonna go to the handheld one. If you could give me a good shot.
Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah, that's nice.
Trying to remember which chip is which. Okay, right here. You have to be really delicate with your tools when you're working on boards with teeny little traces like this. I'll definitely say, like WPC boards, the Williams stuff, they're very, very robust and hardy, but like the little pads and stuff that we're dealing with are so teeny that leaving these tools on for a little too long can start to eat them up. I'm going to watch what I'm doing really quick before I lay it down. I want to see how safe this is going to be. What's up?
So don't pull off the traces.
I'm going to try not to. The problem, too, is it's like removing chips is so much easier when they're like super screwed up. And you can just remove or just cut them off. But I want to try not to cut this PAL up. You also run into the problem where any corrosion on the circuit board also makes it like that much harder to desolder. So I'm going to actually add a teeny bit of flux on the top side too. I'm going to try to just get it on the legs and like not, or just on the board, not really try to smother it. But unfortunately, this toothbrush is kind of not the most accurate tool. Let's see what I can do though. So, okay, here, I've got a tidbit. I saw that our friend in the chat, Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf, he was asking the how to like take a new Stern game apart for transportation, or like moving it in and out of like a small area. There have been many times when I have been delivering a pinball machine to a happy new customer, and the fact that they have stairs does not come into play until like right when I get to their place, and now I have to move a pinball game up like 30 steps. It's terrible. But like, you know, so when I would have to do that mostly by myself, with a new Stern game, it's super easy because the new Spike games are super light, but they're super easy to take apart. What I like to do is like separate the playfield and then the head, and then it's basically moving a wooden box, a stainless steel head, and a piece of wood with metal on it. So one thing you can do, what I'll usually do, and I think I did that, I wanted to talk about this so Bat Out of Hell could come back and look. I made this tool. There is a bushing. Can we see Led Zeppelin in this shot? Kind of. I'm just going to jump back here. The way I'll generally do this, it's pretty easy to figure out, but go in here, unplug the disconnects in the bottom of the cabinet, and I think there might be 1 or 2 plugs that need to come off of the computer to separate the playfield and the head and such. But what I'll do is I'll take the hinges off. So you've got the 2 5/8" bolts inside. You can knock those out with a wrench and then take this bolt out, take that nut out. The nut's on the inside. But then there is a small bushing that sits between the cabinet and the side of the head. And I made this tool out of like 5/32 like polycarbonate. And I carved this out just the right width to hold that bushing and push it up into place when I'm going to put those the nuts and bolts back together. It's a pain to get that thing in there without a little assistance. So I don't know. I guess the other way to do it is to like separate the sides and the back of the head from the bottom plate, but it kind of makes it weak, you know? But yeah, thank goodness for the Spike system. Those things are super easy to move. I just moved some of my games into my house last night, and TNA and Xenon are very heavy compared to those newer games. This is working. I don't know how clean I am getting these holes. All right, do we have any good questions, Emoto?
Oh yeah, hello IndiePen. How about from Jonathan? What's a new machine PC board screws up? Oh, let me start that over. When a new machine PC board screws up in 20 years when the board is obsolete, how could someone repair it as the components are microscopic?
Well, think about what all the relay adjusting old timers used to say about the new electronic games when those came out. Oh, you'll never be able to fix those. Oh, those will never stick around. And, you know, people have been fixing those things for 40 years. I mean, you know, to tear my own argument down, the pace of electronics development, you know, well, I guess even back then, really, I mean, the pace of electronics development was insanely fast. So, I mean, we do run into that even, right? Games from that era do have unobtainium parts. I don't know. That's the thing, right? Is like, you are right. Will you be able to fix it in the future? And we really don't know. I say that the chances are high, though. Not that pinball electronics were like cutting edge by any means, but the stuff in your new Spike games and stuff like that are much more advanced than these things ever were. I guess like the things that kind of make me nervous are things like the Jersey Jack games. I mean, they run off of a PC, and I guess it's probably pretty easy to emulate like PC stuff, but you know, PC-specific hardware, that was a giant pain in the amusement industry for a long time. Programs that would run like only on very specific BIOS configurations and stuff like that to keep security up. Fixing Pinball 2000 computers is like ridiculously annoying. I've never really messed with them. I love them though.
Nice. CNK took his phone apart, replaced some micro USB, put it back together.
Heck yeah.
Tiny but doable.
Yeah, but I guess like the thing is like the difference between like, you know, one of the big things is going to be learning how to use to repair surface mount electronics instead of like, you know, this stuff is called through hole. The little leggies like pop all the way through the board and you can access them from one side. The newer stuff is all, they don't have through holes. It's a lot cheaper to make circuit boards without a bunch of holes in them. So, you know, it takes different equipment to work on through-hole stuff, and I've never done it, so it does make me nervous. But it is something I'd like to practice and try. It is, because it's like, I guess, too, you know, like a lot of electronics, even though they're not, right, but in our society, we consider a lot of electronics to be disposable and have like a lifespan, you know? I don't know. Hopefully Stern doesn't have to move on from the Spike system for a really long time. Let's just put it that. Okay, so this is almost impossible to show on camera what I'm doing right now. But what I've done is I sucked all the solder, or a bunch of the solder, out of the hole. And what I'm very carefully doing right now is I'm bending each little chip leg to kind of sit straight and perpendicular to the hole, so it should come out straight. But also moving the leg is ensuring me that there is no solder still in the through hole. And if there is solder in the through hole, the chip won't be able to come out, right? Because it's still welded. So if I can move each and every single one of these teeny little legs, I will be able to get the chip out.
I'm trying to find a good shot of it. Where's the green cam, our overhead cam? Like, what is it looking at?
It's looking.
Oh, you just have it so close. So
yeah. I mean,
gotcha.
You could look at my face, but
Hi.
No one wants to see that. I'm concentrating. I do see from the top side, when I get these things all straightened out, I will show from the top side that the legs closest to the battery, where the most corrosion exists on their pad, are the two that did not unsolder from the top. I sucked all the solder out through the bottom, but there's still a bit on the top on those ones there.
We're getting a lot of fun questions for you, Kyle.
I guess I should answer.
This one, not on YouTube. Got that from Tontana on YouTube. Says, I'm interested to know that why is that pinball is not a hot thing in black markets, like they would build pinball in China, and why pinball is not a big thing in Japan.
Let's talk about China. There is a guy from Australia that does build some pinball machines in China. He makes pinball PCBs, but he also makes a game in China called Thunderbirds. Now, I know that Stern is focusing on the Chinese market. Competitive everything is really big in China, especially competitive gaming, and pinball is a perfect competitive skill-based game. So I do believe that there is a market for pinball in China. It's just a matter of getting it over there. I do know that pinball games like in China are extraordinarily expensive just due to the current import taxes and tariffs and stuff like that rather. But in Japan, I don't know. I mean, right, you think about like not a lot, but let's say like a portion of Japanese culture in this past century was built on the American occupation of Japan, right? And Sega was actually an acronym for, I think it was like something like service games. I mean, right? Like when they had a bunch of American GIs, shucks. There's a ton of American GIs in Japan still, but they needed something to do, right? So their own sort of amusement. So a lot of amusement things were imported to Japan. And then I know that there was I guess I don't know it too well, but there was a homegrown bit of Japanese pinball development. There are like a handful of Japanese pinball games. I don't remember who made them. It might have been Sega, but if you go on to IPDB, there is a whole list of games that are Japanese made.
That's awesome. I gotta look that up. I know the locations in Japan where you can go play pinball, like Osaka Silver Ball Planet is probably the biggest location. They have a very beautiful collection of games, maybe like 50 games in there, I would say.
They have a really cool Instagram. Awesome. They used to update it all the time. They have, and it's like a ton of really nice games too.
Midge said, it was Sega. Incredible art on those Japanese Sega pinballs.
It was Sega, okay. And am I right, was Sega like an acronym for like service games or something? Or I don't remember what it was, but I don't know. I don't know. That's, that's the fun thing is like, other than discounting bagatelles and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's service games.
Yeah. Pinball is like an American thing, right? The French invented the origins of pinball, but pinball was an American game and I don't know. I don't know. We always wonder because like we're obsessed with it. So why isn't the rest of the world obsessed with what we're obsessed with? Who knows? Because you would think so, right? With like the Japanese popularity of like, video game studios and making games, just their love of games, you'd think that anything arcade related would be something they wanted to do. Now, that being said, Data East was a Japanese company. They wanted in the pinball market. They found someone who knew the pinball market, who wasn't in the business anymore, Gary Stern, and said, hey, we want to have a pinball company, we want you to run it, right? When Data East got out, who bought Data East? Sega did. Capcom, they invested in the most modern, futuristic pinball factory in Chicago. Unfortunately, it didn't last long, but I guess the Japanese saw it coming, we didn't.
Our counter is 20 seconds late on the NASA feed. But you guys are about to see it. Some of you are already watching. Don't ruin the Easter egg.
Okay, I need to stop soldering.
I know.
This is exciting.
We have confirmation of entry. Interface precedence is currently going 5.3 kilometers per second at an altitude of about 120 kilometers to the surface of Mars.
How exciting.
This is now waiting until it begins feeling the atmosphere or down. Once there is enough atmosphere, it will start controlling its path to the landing target.
Once there's enough atmosphere?
I'm reading the captions, they could be kind of off.
I wonder what that means. I wonder why. I mean, maybe it's like a different
slowdown of the atmosphere on the Perseverance entry capsule.
I wonder if it's like a different propulsion system that they need to switch to.
Yeah.
When in atmosphere.
Yeah, probably. Yep, Mars entered atmosphere and still sending data. That wasn't the captions. That was Valansky updates. I guess let's update. You should have been working on Mars, God of War.
Yeah. I wish.
Slightly thematic. What else you got there? You have 2001.
I have Mars Trek. It's not here, but.
Oh yeah, you do. Gotcha. All right, let's see.
Yeah, I guess Mars God of War is more Roman themed than it is.
Yeah, but it's the right color, right?
Yes. So just in case anyone's interested, I sucked all the solder out and then I flowed a bunch of new solder in because it didn't, the top side didn't melt very well. So hopefully the mix of new solder and some more heat will help me suck the rest of this stuff through.
Are the Marco stream watchers controlling the Mars entry?
I sure hope not.
Sure Dave Valansky is like had a little joystick and he's the one controlling it. The little rover. Yes, I am here.
How cool.
I could announce for NASA.
You could.
Landing target. That's all I got. They're just shifting around on their chairs.
Ooh, that came off clean. Okay, good. Sorry, this is a weird shot. Let's move the camera. Everyone should be watching the Mars thing, but...
Oh, Tontana on the Japan conversation. Good answer. I was thinking the pinball thing in Japan. Japan has video games and arcade culture. Of course, not the same like in the States. I love Japan's arcade culture with the video games and stuff. And it is weird. You know, I've seen very few arcades that have pinball machines in them. And they're usually not by the arcade games. They're kind of like in a resting area.
And then you've been all over Japan, like, right?
Like if there's pool, yes. And I think too, it has to do with like, as far as like home use, space in most of Japan where they would afford pinball machines is very limited. So having a big bulky pinball machine is not as convenient as, you know, having 500 video games.
Yeah, that's
as
true.
Far as like the big arcades, if Sega was continuing to make pinball machines, then I believe that their arcades would have had pinball units in it probably. But that's just not really the path they went. But, you know, Stern did a big presentation at the Japan's version of IAPA or CES, and they brought a bunch of games over there. And so, you know, it's slowly growing in Japan, like it's slowly growing in other places. But yeah, if you guys go to Japan, definitely go to Osaka to hit up for some pinball, or Odaiba City in Tokyo. If you go to Japan and you're looking for pinball maps is updated.
Oh, really?
For Japan. I was going to say contact me, but not even bother. Just look at pinball maps. The pinball map app has pretty much all the locations updated. Anime theme tables one. What was that one anime theme that was at Pinball Expo?
I think didn't someone make a Ghost in the Shell pinball machine?
Ooh, yeah, that Ghost in the Shell pinball machine. It's beautiful.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
The Eternal Gremmy, when I move to Japan, should I bring my machines with me?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or as many as you possibly can.
Oh, is the Eternal Gremmy Ed Owens? I didn't know that. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, Independent says they've landed. There's so much going on here. Desoldering needles. Yep.
Oh, cool, man.
Cool. Tontano is asking about Japan is in Finland, in Helsinki.
Oh, neat.
Helsinki has a big pinball arcade there too, right? I think I remember.
Yeah, there's
forget what it's
I know
called.
that there's a big pinball club in Finland. I've always wanted to go visit. I'd like to go to that one. Then I'd also like to go see our friend in Oslo, in Norway. Do like a big old Nordic
Yeah.
party.
Oh yeah, Mr. Loaf. I think I met that guy. There's a few collectors in Japan, and one in particular has like every Gottlieb System 1 game. Is that what you said?
That's neat.
I think he goes to Pinball Expo. I think I met him and his family there last year. It's time for Kyle to watch NASA for a few minutes. Oh, it looks like a little video game. That's not real. Is it? No. So that's just like a recreation, right? That's not an actual
No.
camera flying behind the drone. I mean,
They sent a social media
drone.
drone too to film the other drone.
I mean, yeah, they should have. At least put like a GoPro on it.
I mean, Curiosity
I don't
had
think
all
GoPro
sorts of
would work.
cameras.
They got like 10 camera operators in the NASA booth. Oh, something's dropping out of something. Oh, it's about to land at about 20 meters. Off the surface, we're getting signals from, oh, it's on there. You got little wheels. They're showing a cartoon. Yeah, I wanted to see the real thing. Where's the camera on the rover? Let's see his feed.
I'm sure the thing has to land before they can get like
Everyone's cheering.
stable data
In my
links.
view. Look, they're gonna cheer in a second. You're like 20 seconds behind. They're all clapping. Some guy fist pumps the air.
Yeah. Man, how
They're all
amazing.
like, oh, they dapped. Everyone's excited.
That
Touchdown confirmed. We don't see it on our stream yet. Wait for this big moment. Look, do you see the camera operators like walking in because they know the shot's about to happen?
Yeah.
And they got it. He zoomed out. He was like, oh, let me zoom out.
Can you amazing?
Look at them.
I mean, can you
They're all
imagine?
So excited.
Like,
Yeah, perseverance. It kept coming up as presidents on the caption. Yeah, the feed is delayed. They're still cheering on mine.
not only are you
30
like
seconds.
super excited once it gets there, but it's or like getting to Mars is like
Getting
its
there is
own
the first
achievement.
part, yeah.
But like also
Yeah.
waiting and making sure that the dang thing like flies all the way from Earth to Mars without an incident, right? Like, there's so many opportunities for this whole thing to just like fail.
It made it. So does that mean does this rover have cameras on it so we can actually see in real time Mars?
Well, probably not real time because it has to transmit data gazillion miles, but you know, close enough.
Right. So is it, I mean, like we don't have, it's recording, we pick it up and take off the data, or is it streaming to where we can use?
I think the way it works is
Where
it
we
like
can actually
streams
see it.
or transmits the data to a satellite, which then transmits it to us.
One of Elon Musk's satellites.
He wishes. Maybe. I mean, SpaceX has been doing a lot of help to NASA since our government can't
Not in real time,
prioritize
what you
science.
said? Oh, yeah. So they have time to hide all the alien stuff that they see.
Yeah.
Keep us still in the dark,
Ah,
right? Because they're gonna edit that out, and it's not fair.
I bet
I
those.
want it live.
So, well, I guess what Perseverance is going to study is it is going to study a ancient lake bed or something, and it's supposed to go to this lake bed to try and find like fossilized remains of bacteria or something like that. That's just, it's so incredible.
No, they got images that fast. It just looks like a blob.
Really?
Oh,
Okay,
it's
now
gonna
I gotta
show
watch.
Kyle. And then I'll ask Colin is trying to get back into pinball.
Yeah, sorry.
everyone. We're
This
like,
is just a
"Come
very
on,
exciting day for
Look
science
at that
and
creative.
the world, really.
So they wouldn't have had time to Photoshop the alien ship out of that one. I'm watching on like another screen over here.
The aliens are cloaked. They're just sitting and watching. The Romulans and Klingons are just waiting for
They don't
us.
want to do like photo bombs. I mean, there's got to be some that want to do photo bombs. Oh, look at that shadow.
How cool, man.
Mars is flat. Don't believe the lies.
Yeah, what Hollywood backlot is this thing
curve it
filmed
in
on?
post. What is Kyle doing to that board?
I am working on getting
Yeah.
this PAL out. I've almost got it out. Give me one second. I'm trying to do this without ripping the fillet.
Working on the white star board. Ah, you've been here the whole time, right? Or maybe you got distracted by the launch too. Now he's trying to remove the pins, straighten them out and remove the pins because he is resocketing new chips.
I will be doing one
because of
socket.
corrosion
Yes.
from the batteries. What's a PAL?
Programmed array logic or something. It's a chip that's programmed with certain instructions to work in a program. So it's kind of like a security chip, sort of. And it came out clean. Look at that.
Yay. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me focus.
Oh, it's okay. There's not much to see. There's just
I
no...
like focusing on close little tiny things.
If you get a chip out and you royally screw it up, you'll see like the little fillet on the leg here. If you rip the fillet, the via that goes through the circuit board out, you'll see them on the legs. But thankfully, what time is it?
4. You did it in an hour.
It took me like 45 minutes. See, this is the thing. This is why you have to send this to someone who knows what they're doing, because if I would have screwed, not that I know what I'm doing, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but if someone screwed this up, it would take another 45 minutes to try to fix it. I don't know, it takes a long time to do this, especially if a board is already slightly damaged. So let's take a look now that we do have this off. Underneath where the PAL was, I took this off for absolutely no reason. There is no corrosion under here, but
Aww.
that's fine, because now we know there is no corrosion under here, and this computer will just start getting the cleanup treatment. Thankfully, I do have a WHITESTAR game in here. Well, I guess I wouldn't be able to use it. I could get the program probably on
Look
NASCAR.
on your screen. Look at this shot of Mars.
How cool.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Is it
favorites.
Photoshop? And that's like part of Arizona?
Yes. I always born.
Kyle, we had a pinball question for real though.
Aw, pinball. I'm just kidding.
Mr. Baxter said Gorgar has a couple lamps that should be blinking but are just on. Assuming the diode is bad? Question mark.
Start there, because diodes don't cost anything. That's what I'd say. But if they're just on and they're supposed to be blinking, maybe you've got maybe something shorted to something it shouldn't be. Maybe maybe you've got a dead lamp driver. No, I guess if it was on, it wouldn't be dead. But
Alright, I'm turning off NASA, y'all.
thanks,
If
NASA.
anything else exciting comes up, let me know and I'll re-put it on.
My favorite things I give my
Francis,
tax
you're
dollars to. Yeah, try the diodes first. I mean, that's where I'd always start. I mean, if they're just stuck on, that could well be it. But, you know.
Does anyone else have any questions for Kyle as he works on this board? He's just doing some repinning to some preventative measures.
Yeah, we're going to scrape
And-
rust off.
Yeah, we're going to make that board happy again, get rid of some corrosion as much as possible. Any pinball questions related to your games, Kyle is ready to answer. And Colin says, where do you get free diodes? Well, if your name is Kyle Spiteri,
From my toolbox.
diodes just rain.
No, they do. I'll just go look at pockets and like jackets that I have, and I'll just find
so you're
diodes
gonna
and stuff.
scrape off the corrosion? This is
Yeah.
the part I wanted to see. What do we do to actually get the corrosion off? Because that looks bad.
It is.
Like, you scraping it looks bad. That looks scary.
It is scary, but that is the #1 way to actually get this off of the board, is to scrape
I
it
can't
off.
put Novus on it and microfiber it off.
Novus
I
is
thought
good
Novus
for a lot
works
of
for
things,
everything.
but not everything. What we're doing, but see, that's what we're going to do, is we're going to remove the corrosion from the top side. And then
can you go down a little bit?
Yeah.
It was a little tilty. Thanks.
We're going to, hold on, where are we?
I don't know.
There's this
Down?
leg.
I mean, you bring the board up. Yeah.
This leg of this chip right here has
Higher up.
a trace that is coming up and over, and that's super corroded. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the corrosion physically from the top side. And then I'm going to ensure, since it goes to this via right here, where the trace magically goes through the board into the back, we're going to make sure this doesn't have corrosion that will go through to the back. It may. That is harder to fix. But we're going to just get rid of the corrosion and make sure that we have continuity where we need it. The best way to get rid of corrosion is to physically remove it. I will end up with some bare copper on this board, which isn't ideal, but it's better than having corrosion on the thing. When you do try to scrape away corrosion, I always try to like keep the corrosion that might crumble off like away from stuff, right? I'm doing it like this so it kind of just crumbles down onto the towel that I'm working on. So yeah, just that it's very tedious. It's very, 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 very tedious. And the problem is like, even if we do all of this right, you know, there could just be a little corrosion somewhere that will cause this whole thing to just not work, and we've wasted a lot of time. So
I like that.
on a lot of boards, it's not worth doing when you can buy a replacement. But this board is very difficult to find a replacement for. And when you do, they're very, 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 very expensive.
Yeah, everyone's saying, where's your fiber pen, bro?
I will use the fiber pin, but for now, since I've got flux around here, when I'm scratching the corrosion off, it's kind of just like, whoa, is there something wrong with the camera?
Yeah. I was wowing just now, too.
Huh. What did I do? Hi, everyone.
I don't know.
I'll use the
fine
fiberglass
now.
pin in a second, but these traces are so fine. It's easier for me to be like way more accurate with this tool than it is with a brush. Let's reposition the green cam so I could try to show people what's going on. How do I do that? I could do this. Whoop.
And Kyle, while you're doing that, can you remind everyone what games this WHITESTAR board is for?
A lot. Like everything from like Twister and Independence Day all the way to like Terminator 3 or something. I think that's the range.
So like 90s.
Mid 90s to the late
Mid-90s.
2000s. Stern used this board
Stern
right before
and-
SAM. So like the SAM system boards are going to be like AC/DCs and Avatars and Metallica and stuff like that. Okay, this guy should be good to use now. Green cam.
Oh yeah, and Independence, the corrosion is from the battery leakage.
Yeah. And the thing is like this board, like these boards started to corrode like within their service lifetime too. Like Stern, when they went to redesign this board after like 10 years, like I said, they redesigned it with corrosion in mind and started to socket a lot of these chips here.
Stop barking.
Does Mookie want to go play in the snow?
Probably the kids left him. I'm scrolling up. We got a lot of questions in during that NASA landing.
I bet.
Jimbo Jones asked, are boards something that you would only clean when there is corrosion, or are there regular maintenance upkeep?
No, just when there's corrosion, really. I mean, if something's ugly, like if you were taking a board out to replace a transistor or something that caught on fire and exploded, you know, I'd try to clean like the burn mark off or something, but no, you don't need to keep it washed.
Okay, come here. All right, and then Colin said, so another question, Cyclone lamp board, some lamps work and others don't. If you press on the board, they come back on, but later the game goes off.
Later in the
game go off. So the
check.
boards are on.
You've got a bad
Push
connection
on.
somewhere, so take that board out, and the first thing you're going to want to do is just check for like a bad connection at the header pin, right? You might have some cracked solder on the other side of your header pin. So if you push on something, something is flexing and then making contact and making stuff work. I would start there. This thing is grody. This isn't that bad.
MGM Studios recommended that you use the fiberglass scratch brush,
Yes.
77-FGB.
If you're going to do any board repairs, you need a fiberglass brush. Now that I've removed a lot of the gross corrosion, I'm going to clean this board off. I'm going to use my flux remover and remove the goopiness, and then I'm going to get in there with the this fiberglass brush that I have, and I will try to angle it at a corner. It's a circular fiberglass bristle collection, so if you do kind of use it on the edges, you can be pretty accurate with where you will be cleaning. So I'm going to step aside really quick and use my flux remover to clean the board. This stuff is really gross. The best way to use flux remover is to accompany it with a clean toothbrush to then wipe around and get everything clean. But give me one sec, sorry.
How many pinball machines do you own, Kyle?
I lost count.
He owns a lot. Marco Pinball, where we're in our studio right now, also owns a lot. We love pinball. We love collecting pinball. We love fixing pinball. We love happy pinball machines on. Put your hazmat suit on, Kyle.
For my flux remover? Yeah, seriously. I think I own more than 10 pinball machines, but I definitely own more than 10, but I think I own less than 25, somewhere around there. Too many. Too many. Okay, so we've got most of the, we've got the crispy crunchies off now. Let's put the other camera on. So now we've got clean, it's not sticky anymore because I did put a little bit of flux on top of the legs of the PAL so we could get that to come off clean. But now we are going to try to get all of these copper lines, those are called traces. We're going to try to get all of these guys nice and shiny again. If we can get them shiny, we've removed the tarnishing, nasty, possibly eating through the copper and definitely damage out. It doesn't look like we have any broken traces, but what we will try to do is I will pop out my voltmeter and try to just tap everything to make sure we have continuity everywhere. I am worried about these vias. Cool. These vias do have corrosion in them, so I might try to address that at another time. Probably not on camera, but...
it's so tiny though, how would you get it off? You
try to flow solder through it and just hope for the best. That's difficult. I will be socketing this chip. Pro tip, never, ever, 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 ever remove a chip and not reinstall it with a socket, unless you absolutely have to. It's just, if you've taken the effort to remove it, take the effort to put something else in so then you can easily remove it in the future.
Oh, right. The socketed ones that you always talk about.
Yeah, and it's just like there's
snap in and snap off.
There's different widths of sockets. So like this is like a, I don't know, like a 16 or a 24 pin socket or something. But this guy's like wide. I don't have a 20 pin socket with me. This chip has a different form factor. It's a lot narrower than some of these other chips. So the other thing you could do is if you don't have a socket, you could use a SIP socket, which is, I don't know, it's just, it's got holes on one side and pokies on the other side, and you can install chips into them this way. And I might do that instead of buying a socket you don't use very often in pinball, because I've got a lot of SIP sockets. So, need a little bit of a...
Sockets.
Socket.
Oh,
Nothing.
Yeah, Jonathan was like, what style sockets do you prefer?
What style sockets? I personally prefer machine pin sockets. There's two different kinds of sockets. There's like, I think they're called, it's something in leaf and machine pin. Machine pins are a bit more expensive, but for some reason I just like them better. But there's nothing wrong with the other style socket. They're just as good. Sometimes you can overdo the soldering, and I have seen people socket. Someone brought me a board for repair, and they overflowed the solder, so it went through and then up the leg of the new socket, and it went in and shorted out like 3 of the pins inside the socket. So, you know, that could happen with a machine pin socket too, but it's easier to see with those sockets because the legs are exposed like this. Wait, what camera is it? This camera?
Here, put it on the green camera again, because I can focus.
The legs are exposed, so the skinny part sticks in the board and the little thicker part next to the plastic sticks up. So sometimes, if you overflow the solder, you can see when you've made a mistake, where the other style socket, the black bit, like sits flush up against the board and you can't really tell. It's just personal preference. There is no superior style. They all work very, very well. It's just, you know, it's like asking your dad. It's like, oh, Dad, what's the best kind of power drill? And it's like, well, I've always been a Milwaukee man. Is there any reason Milwaukee's better than DeWalt or Bosch? Well, probably not, but that's just what you use. And I just have used machine pin sockets, so that's what I like. We're going to use the fiberglass brush. Now, when you're using this also, just be very careful. Getting a little fiberglass thingy inside of your finger is awful. Getting it in your eye is awful. Getting it anywhere on your body is awful. So again, try to work where it's going to go away from you, and then I could, you know, vacuum off my working towel, whatever you'd call it. But I'm going to try to be very accurate with this brush and try to only brush on top of the copper so we can try to make it as shiny as possible and kind of, you know, ensure that we've got rid of the nasty alkaline corrosion.
Nice. And then you can't put traces back on, right? You'd have to do like a wire to wire bridge, like a bridge with the wire, or what do you do after this point?
Short answer, yeah, that's all you can really do. There is like, you can buy like what's called like trace repair tape that is like adhesive on one side. But if you were to have like something damaged on a board like this, like it is recommended just to put a patch. I don't have my parts box in here, but I know I've shown it on a prior video. I use this stuff called Kynar wire. I think that's a brand name, but it's like a very thin 30 gauge insulated wire that you can use on like low voltage like signal traces. I don't know if that makes sense.
TV MGC. Milwaukee drills are better because MGC is in Milwaukee. Just saying. Yeah,
Fair enough.
By the way, I just found out that TV MGC, Midwest Gaming Classic, they have their own Twitch channel. They're right there in the chat room. Go follow them. They're streaming like 6 shows a week, I think is what he said. It's amazing. We were like, wow, we have trouble just doing this one show. We're doing 6 shows a week. That's awesome. So they're doing like Magic the Gathering, arcade games, video games.
That is
all
super
sorts
cool.
of great stuff. Oh, okay. MGM Studios said 66 CFR, copper foil tape.
Yep. Thank you, MGM Studio. Yeah, that's the trace repair tape.
Can you do that?
I don't have a reason to do it, so no. But it is I think it's adhesive on one side and it's copper, just like you're doing here. So, you know, I think that's something good to use if you really need it.
That's awesome, PBMBC.
This one is.
How do you tape it down?
I think it's adhesive on one side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thick adhesive back copper strip.
I've only ever used it for like prototyping boards or like using it on breadboard or something.
That sounds like fun to try, but also because it's so difficult.
Get one of these if you're working on boards, especially if you're as blind as I am. Jeweler's loop. This is a 10x magnification jeweler's loop. I realize that I am getting old and parts of my body are failing me, such as my eyes. Having assistances like this can be really helpful to make sure.
Put it up against camera. Put it up against camera. Yeah. Now put the board in.
Whoa.
Wait. Hold on. I can focus it. Hold on.
Wait. Hold on. Let me get it in spot. I'm looking. Hey. So this is what I'm working on right now. I'm just ensuring that we don't have any crispies in this area. Oh, this is red. So.
We gotta just tape it to this camera from now on. This is cool. Wow,
I need it.
Wow, that was beautiful.
This looks
Am I
okay.
the only one excited about that?
I am still worried about the vias just a teeny bit, but it's probably not that big of a deal. I think, in fact, MGM Studio might be able to tell me, do we have a WHITESTAR test jig?
Yeah, that was awesome.
I think we have a WHITESTAR test jig. I think that's in the front building. Maybe Steve can also answer. But that's how I can test this board. I could probably put it into NASCAR, but I don't know if it would run the program. I think if I put it into a test jig, I should be able to run it with the current ROMs. So that will be a good way to ensure that I did the repair correctly. Then I can bag the board, and put it in my stash. I had a very generous customer who I helped get parts for his South Park give me this board. He shipped it to me and said, "Merry Christmas, if you can fix it, enjoy it." So now I'm finally getting to it. Okay, I'm kind of happy with that. I'm going to bust out my multimeter and we're going to just check for a little bit of continuity. And then, since it's probably, I don't have enough time to socket it.
What's your process? Do you unsocket all of them and then put them back on, or you work one by one?
I mean, I guess if I was doing something really gnarly, I would unsocket everything in the affected area so I could clean effectively. Thankfully, the actual damaged area on this circuit board was really just right here. See, but that's the scary thing, though. Like, you know, if I was being ultra thorough, I would remove the program ROM and remove this socket and double check it wasn't under here. But as far as I can tell, I can see no damage to the extent that the damage up here existed. So I'm gonna, since I don't need this board, it's just going to be a spare, and I just really wanted to neutralize the corrosion I saw, I'm going to leave it at this. But if this was a repair for a customer, you know, you just have to let them know that this is an expensive process. It is all labor, and I would go ham and just take everything out and really...
And you would only really do that if the board was unobtainable, right?
Yeah, like, look, if we're talking about like a Williams computer, like a WPC computer, just throw it away. It's not worth it. You can buy a new one, and it's not, don't throw it away, use it as art. But it's not worth fixing. You're not going to have a super reliable computer that in the end, even if you do clean it up, it might work for a year or two, but it's just worth your time to buy a new one. I mean, a lot of the like really talented board fixers, they won't even work on Bally boards anymore because the Altec is the best solution. The ultimate NPU, we sell them, and we've also done a product spotlight on them once or twice, I believe. So
I'll post a link to that.
But
that thing's awesome.
A lot of the really good guys, I mean, they won't even work on those things anymore because why? You can get new ones. It's not worth your time to fix some of those computers. So, but this one, this is something that's worth messing. I just slurred. This is worth messing with because it is a difficult to find computer and it's very expensive. Hey Steve, go to Stern's website and see if they sell them. I think the last time when they made a batch like 3 years ago, they were going for like $800.
Yeah, Nolan just asked. WHITESTAR is like $400, maybe.
Well, I think the Rotten Dog replacements were like $400 or $600, but you know, those also have their own problems. The Rotten Dog computers, they redesign things sometimes and they just don't work the way they need to.
I don't even see it on their website.
Well, Rotten Dog, oh wait, Stern?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they don't, or maybe they were only offering it to dealers and they're not offering it online.
Probably, yeah, it's probably not something available on their website. They keep it pretty simple.
Yeah, well, it's nice. At least you can buy like node boards and stuff now.
Daniel said you're like Nikola Tesla.
That's insulting to Tesla because that guy's actually smart, but thank you.
IndiePin says, I'm assuming you're using an audio continuity tester?
Oh, yeah. I'm just putting my meter on diode mode, so when you do have connectivity, it beeps. That's good enough for me.
Confirmed they probably never sold them directly to consumers, those boards.
That makes sense. I know that when I worked with when I worked with Chris, we bought a couple of them.
Oh, you asked because you couldn't hear the beep, maybe, indie pins? You guys can't hear the beeping? I heard the beeping. Maybe your noise cancellation takes out the beep?
Maybe, huh?
Oh, Tesla was born in Croatia.
Yeah.
It's Daniel's brother.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Midge says we got some on order, so we'll see, question mark.
How long ago did we put those on order, though? It would be good to have. It's nice, especially because, like I said earlier.
Oh, you did hear it?
The emulated BSMT boards are backwards compatible. They kind of sound different, but it's not the end of the world. At least you have a board that works. You know what?
Kyle, here's a test question.
I don't like.
How many miles did Perseverance travel
to
land on Mars?
A lot.
Oh, I just lost it.
Gosh, I don't know.
I think it was 292 million miles.
That's insane. I mean, that's just like, that's an incalculable distance to me. How many is that in non-freedom units? What is that in kilometers?
I don't know. Really a big 292.5 miles. Jonathan Barge says, I can't hear the beep and it bothers me. Nothing is showing continuity.
It's all working. Everything's good.
We assure you, there's a beep. There's a beep.
There was a beep. I found this is poetic. This SIP socket is exactly 10 spaces.
Oh,
so
you don't have to cut it.
I am just going to solder one in. I'm not going to go out to my car and get my other socket, but I will socket one side today. Nice. I'm going to, since there was some slight corrosion damage, this flux is starting to look really gross. There's like, I don't know if that's something growing in it, or if someone like
switching cameras remotely
dumped something in here.
Magic.
I've got telekinetic powers. Since there was a little bit of corrosion, we're gonna
out of focus.
Brush just a little bit of flux on these guys.
Out of focus. In focus. Ooh, I saw some of that goop.
The boogers.
Focusing. Yes, I am 5-ish states away from Kyle, and I am connected directly to his computer, and I am operating his computer as he teaches us about pinball. If you want more tricks of the trade of crazy live streaming setups, feel free to email me or ping me on Facebook. Always happy to help.
I couldn't do this without Emoto.
He could, but it's just more hassle. Oh no, what the?
What? Oh.
You're like, you missed the, you're like, oh.
So what I'm doing, since I have to hold the socket with my fingers this way,
you need more hands.
Yes. I have my solder in a snake position facing up. I am putting a little solder on the tip of my iron, and I am going to very gently tack the socket in. So now I don't need to use this hand to hold what's going on. What I like to do is we'll tack like one pin at the end of each side of the socket, ensure that it's sitting flush and not cockeyed. And then we will enjoy the fruits of our labor one day. Oh, hey, that would really help if I would have soldered the actual socket instead of the empty hole on the other side.
I know.
I was wondering why it was still jiggling. Anyways, I brought a couple of my pinball games home. If you noticed, the set is a little different now, a little more barren.
Hey, we're changing it up.
But hopefully we will be able to do some either repairing on the weekends, so I don't have to drive all the way out here to do repairs and stream. But we can also stream some gameplay. We could play some games, and you can watch how bad I am at pinball. Maybe it would be a good like redemption story, like guy who's bad at pinball turns like okay at pinball.
Oh, wow.
After
Here's
playing.
another space question for you, Kyle. If you could travel at 1G halfway to Mars and decelerate at 1G, how long would it take to get there?
A long time?
Oh, no. Jonathan, you gotta...
What? I don't know. Here's some trivia for you. I am really bad at math.
Thanks for joining us, DeWisp.
And thank you. And I've never really done much more than like super basic-ish algebra. So when it comes to physics and stuff like that, I am not as good. I don't think I'm bad at math. I just think I was not taught math well, maybe because I didn't care enough. But now I actually find math.
But you need it. You need math.
Well, I think it's like,
Math.
I wish someone would have taught me math as like a puzzle as opposed to like, here's some weird arbitrary number stuff that you just need to memorize, right? Like, math is neat because generally there's like, it's a puzzle that has like one answer and hey, figure it out.
That's a great way of putting it, yeah. But what if you don't like puzzles? Then that's not good.
Yeah,
Math is
or
a
you
puzzle.
don't have a pulse, so it's one or the others. Come on.
Mr. Valansky said, I play pinball better on Mars.
Yeah, gravity there.
Is the Mars gravity higher or lower than Earth?
Here's where I need to remember, like, higher gravity means the pressure on you is more intense. Lower gravity means that there is less pressure. So like the moon has low gravity, which means you can jump and jump a lot further. I don't know what Mars gravity is like. Right? Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was hoping someone in the chat would answer too.
I don't think it like
Kyle should be working on a Mars God of War today. Hey, that's what I said, Rob. Or Mars Trek. That's what I said. No, that's what he said.
That's what I said.
Any other Mars themed pin? Does 2001 count? That's kind of...
That's just like trippy, like acid trip pinball machine, not necessarily space. I'm not convinced that the
don't
solder...
Don't planet, Jonathan, because you're not good at math. Come on. You have to look through the jewel through the camera.
Hold on, I'm seeing if I did this well before we try to do it. These boards are hard to socket, especially if there was any indications of damage before, because not all of the traces only make contact at the bottom. Even if we do have traces making connection at the bottom of the board, it may well be another connection on the top. So we really, when you're doing these complex boards like this, you really need to be very, very certain that you did get a connection that travels all the way through, especially when there was potential corrosion before. Because remember, corrosion will inhibit the travel of the solder. Solder likes to stick to things that are shiny, and corrosion is anti-shiny. So I think there is only one trace that comes through the top. I am going to just tap it with my meter, and if you can't hear it, I'm just going to stick it here, so maybe you can watch the number change.
Oh, cool. Oh, Orbiter 1 from Belansky, another Mars thing.
Yeah.
He said Mars gravity is 3/8 of Earth's.
So it's lower, but I think it's like
Lighter.
Am I right
You would be
in the
less
sense that
heavy.
like just because Mars is further away, that doesn't necessarily mean that like other planets further away also have lower gravity than Earth? Or am I wrong? Like the further we get towards like the outer edge of our galaxy, the lower gravity everything is? I guess it doesn't help that a lot of the planets in between, like the other solid ones, are also like gaseous, but okay, I'm kind of proud of this. I think it'll be fine.
Man says no, nothing to do with the sun. I kind of spaced out. I spaced out.
Did I get an answer
It
from
says, I think it's based on the planetary mass.
the planetary
More
mass?
more gravity. It's logic.
The planetary mass, which
would
also
be lighter
dictates
on
like
Mars.
the way how fast it rotates around the sun, right? I don't know.
Mars's gravity is less. Gravity is a function of the mass of a planet, not dependent upon distance from the sun. Yeah, Kyle.
Yeah, okay. So I was right.
Wow, and then there's another ship that's going to bring back the stuff that the rover found, and it's supposed to come back to Earth in 2031.
Cool.
A decade.
Oh yeah,
now?
because that's also this rover is supposed to be picking up samples of stuff too. That's incredible. Maybe I need to set an alarm for 10 years to see if that's going to be on the news. Okay. Hey, cool. We did something. I'm going to get the other White Star board. I guess we've got a little bit more time. Let's just look at it.
Bigger the planet, bigger the gravity. Yeah, eternal gravity. I understood. It's a good joke.
Okay.
So it's been fun talking about space, and we should continue. But if anyone has any pinball questions for Kyle about your game or anything else,
this is a celebration stream.
We're almost in our official Q&A period. Mars does make a tiny guest appearance in Pinbot. Oh.
Yeah, that's
here
true.
We go from Vandergooten. Yeah. Oh, this is a good one. All right, you ready for this, Kyle?
Yes.
Vandergooten's kind of stuck troubleshooting a White Star board at the moment.
Oh gosh.
All controlled lamps and most coils are out. In test mode, only 2 or 3 coils fire, and they're likely the wrong ones. And I don't know why I added the word likely. So only 2 or 3 coils fire, and they're the wrong ones. There was some alkaline damage around the battery holder, but that's all cleaned up. I/O power driver board tested good on another machine. Voltages tested good. Ribbon cable between CPU, sound, and I/O driver board was replaced. What the most likely cause, in your opinion? Alkaline damage? Failed IC? What should I be looking at next? And by the way, thanks for the wonderful tech classes.
Wow, thank you.
That's a good one.
I'm upset that you've tried everything I wanted to tell you to try. So you've put the driver board into another White Star game, and it worked fine. You've replaced the ribbon cable, so you don't potentially have any lost data, right? You still could have lost data if the computer is not sending that to the driver board, which it seems like it's not, or it's jumbled. So I'm going to say that you need to definitely rule out the corrosion somehow. So if you have access to another White Star computer, I would try installing that, and then you can definitely say, okay, the problem is on my computer, right? And then what I would try doing, have you tried swapping out the processor, the PAL? I mean, the program's running, so the ROM is probably fine. The RAM is fine because it's running. I mean, I think if you had a failed something on the processor, you'd be having a lot more problems than just not lamps and not some solenoids firing wrong. I mean, how much alkaline damage are we talking? Like a lot? I don't remember what this section of the board here. This section of the board is all I/O, right? The whole other half of this is all sound on this side. This is switch information all up here. What else is going on in this game? You've got your data going to the display computer here. So that is the problem. Is like I can almost guarantee it is something to do with alkaline damage. Because again, if we section the board out again, can you turn the green cam on? If you section out the board again, we've got, I mean, this is all I/O, right? This whole section here, which is also underneath the batteries, controls this talking and telling everything else to do everything. So I'm going to say you probably have a corrosion problem. and I guess swapping in another computer will absolutely like affirm that, but it's probably worth your best your time investment now to send this to someone who can fix it, or get a replacement and see if you can fiddle around with it and fix it yourself. The problem is like you have a booting computer, so now it's just a matter of finding like the one data line that's not working. If you have a scope and you can read the schematic, or even if you have a logic probe, you might be able to find something. But again, that's also kind of just a little over my pay grade. I can poke around with the scope and find signals that are missing, but I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. I would definitely say, if you feel like you've exhausted all of your troubleshooting, which it seems like you have, might be best to send it off to someone at this point. It's annoying. I mean, like, there's like been 20 years of pinball being destroyed by batteries. It's like, who the heck thought that this was a good idea? Come on, like really? I mean, at least like mount it somewhere lower on the board so it drips away. I mean, in this configuration of this board set, it would still drop on the driver board, but it's not like taking batteries off of circuit boards was like a new phenomena in the year 1996. Like, this is bad. Dumb, stupid, awful engineer.
TVMGC says they weren't supposed to last.
Well, they weren't supposed to last, but it's not, you don't just purposefully design something poorly because it's not supposed to last 20 years, right? The fact that these still exist is a testament to everyone's passion for these silly boxes with fun stuff going on inside. But this is just dumb, right? Like, it's so frustrating.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing with manufacturers like iPhones and stuff like that, right? Diva Lansky said, battery damage is good for future machine shop sales.
Oh, definitely.
They want it to break.
They don't want it to break, but they definitely want you to...
it to break.
Oh.
Hey, Colin had a call. He's back. And so he was asking about that cyclone lamp board issue. I can't remember what you said about it. So they're on. When you push down on the board, they turn off. When you play a game, they turn off.
Dude, you gotta. I would say check the check all of the solder connections and make sure you don't have cracked solder on the back side of the board. You might have, if you press on something, it's like, the easiest thing to check is going to be, your header pins for where the lamps connect to, the rows and the columns. Check there first. Those are commonly cracked on all sorts of boards, because when people lift these things out, they pull them like this. Right? I had a 156 header. Here it is. Don't do this if you can avoid it. Right? Don't yank these things out like this. You put pressure on the pins and it cracks them from behind. Whenever possible, pull them up just straight if you can, and that will keep them from cracking here on the back side of boards. So check there first, right? You always want to check the easiest thing first, because if you sit there and be like, well, I need to change this ribbon cable and PIA and this and that and this and that, and you don't fix anything, and then it just ends up being a little cracked solder. Oh, shucks, But this board's rough. It's not bad. I think this is still an early enough of a board where this isn't the revision where they socketed things. I can see, it looks like someone socketed this board, or this chip.
Hey, what's up, Tilt Awesome?
Hey, Per. I think someone has done a little bit of work on this and to try to clean up some of this corrosion.
We're going to have 15 more minutes.
15 minutes? Well, good. Now we can start talking about beer. No, just kidding. This one is a little bit more involved. I mean, look, we've got trace repair down here. The corrosion leaked so far down that someone ran trace repairs underneath this jumper. Can you see those guys?
Yeah.
So this one's kind of scary. I think that this board was missing speech, but the sound was working. So that might not be related to corrosion. It looks like someone has cleaned it up. I don't see like any traces of like nasty corrosion currently. But what I do want to do is I want to toss this into my test jig, or I want to toss this into the NASCAR behind me. And I will try to run the NASCAR program in this board. I'll remove the program ROM and all the sound ROMs. And if NASCAR runs in this computer, then we might have a problem with one of these ROMs.
Okay.
Right?
It's a process of elimination almost.
Exactly. That's what I was saying, right? It's so much easier to
Yeah.
just change things that you could just go pop, 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 and then put new ones in, and if it works, okay,
Right.
you're good to go. Oh, hey.
Quick pinball question.
Wait, hold on,
Nolan
really
was
quick.
asking-
Hold that thought.
Oh.
Check this out.
Sorry.
No. I just noticed something because I'm actually looking at things now with a critical eye. Look at this socket. Focus on that. Tell me what looks weird about one side of that and not the other.
It's missing
Yes.
pins.
There,
It's missing pins.
some of the little leaves inside that socket are missing. That is suspect. I don't remember exactly what goes in and out of the PAL, but if it can't send out some data or accept some data, then maybe we've got a problem. Weird thing is this game worked, so maybe it's not important, but I don't know. I'm going to start there. A socket's easy. It doesn't take long to change. And then we'll move on to test jigs or putting it in another game. Okay, anyways, question.
Okay, so pinball question, and then some beer questions. I still feel weird about talking about beer on pinball on work hours. Okay, Nolan, do you guys restock lamp PCBs for WPC 95 games? I can't find them anywhere for Monster Bash.
No. We have a lot of those things. We have a ton of lamp PCBs, but for certain games, when the owner of the company went and bought out certain distributors or bought out, things when Williams was closing, he was able to grab like a bunch of lamp PCBs for certain games, but not everything. I bet there's a market for that somewhere, but it's not. I'm not sure. That's a weird thing, because it would be really difficult to make like to put discrete lamp sockets for all the stuff on a lamp PCB. But custom might be the way to go. That'd be fun to make those things, though.
Jim Graham asked, do those legs go to traces?
See, I don't know. I mean, probably. Let's look.
It's a good question.
But why are they gone, right? Even if they go to traces, why are they gone?
Yeah,
like,
how do they loot?
they could have had corrosion come up through them and take off half of that leaf. So, wait, they're on this side?
Hold on, leaf care.
Yes. The top one definitely goes to something. And the one on the other side has no trace on the bottom, but it could go from the top. And we might be getting signal, but we're not getting a good signal. So I don't trust it. It's coming out. That's not right? The first thing you do when you're fixing something like this also is if it doesn't look right, you got to make it look right, So we want to make even if it doesn't, right? We still want it to be back to original so we can rule it out, if that makes sense. I wish I had more sockets, but we also don't have a ton of time. But hey, I made good progress on this. I almost feel like we may have found the issue. Because again, the corrosion on this thing, even though there are repairs, like it does look like someone halfway competent did some of this stuff, right? We were looking at these trace repairs right here.
Yeah.
It looks like someone socketed this socket in. Now, or soldered this socket in. This, I don't know where this damage came from. But if we flip it over, even if it looks factory, right? It doesn't look like some dummy with a soldering iron got in here and burned things and made big solder blobs. Even this processor, I mean, there's stuff here. I think this is flux remover residue, which is why it's a little cloudy. But it looks like someone has removed these sockets at one point, and they knew what they were doing because it looks like a factory job. That's always how the guy I used to work for judged me on the quality of my board repairs. If it looks like if no one has ever touched it, then you did a good job.
Nice. So Kyle, are you ready to take some questions?
Yeah, actually, let me also show a picture on my phone, which has a damaged screen. But speaking of lamp PCBs, this was really neat. We had a pile of PCBs from a, let me lock it from rotating. We had PCB boards like on their bare board, or like on their fully populated like platter. So what you have here are like many individual 3 lamp PCBs on like its gigantic platter that they cut them all out on.
Oh.
So you've got like the big plate of silicone, and then they come in and route it, you know, for the correct shape and the holes and such. And then, you know, the traces were put on. I don't know how it works, but the I thought this was really neat. You don't see this very often. Then they get stuffed while they're still on the platter, and I cut them all apart and put them in stock. So.
Cool.
Yeah, kind of neat.
Yeah, I want that. All right, so Kyle, let's stop working. Let's answer some questions. We got 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Over.
I'm going to Slack you some pictures that someone sent me also, so maybe you could pop them up before we end.
No, I'm not doing that.
No, they're hilarious. But go ahead. What kind of questions we got?
All right, Magic Ditto. There's a few pinball questions, and then we'll go back to some others. Magic Ditto. Aztec won't increase credits through coin slot, match, or replay value. Replay value awards extra ball when set to it, but not credit. Any ideas?
Read that again, slower.
Down, yes. Up, no. Okay, and David's helping with this one too.
Yeah,
So
I'd say David would be the better one to answer that.
It needs to step up by hand easily. I'll let Kyle get into more repair ideas. Oh, look at this. You guys are tag teaming.
Yeah, well, I mean,
the
the first thing you got to verify, like before you jump to any logic, is make sure that every physical thing that has to move can and will move. You know, when the guy used to work for, the way he would judge me when I would rebuild a stepper when I was learning how to do this is you need to be able to step the stepper with like an inhumanely the least force possible. Even if the coil energizes and like comes in really hard and then thunks and ratchets the thing, if you do it really well, you can very slowly press that plunger in and then let it go gently, and the stepper will still step. Right? You need to make sure those things are really clean, because if things aren't moving the way they need to, that will keep, you know, the computer of the electromechanical heart not working. So make sure all of your steppers work first, and then jump into the logic of it, if that makes sense.
What's the best way to get rid of flux?
Flux remover. It sounds like a cop-out, but it's real. Let me get some here.
Do you guys hear that crunching sound?
Is that Mookie? This stuff's expensive, and it's mostly expensive to like ship and stuff, but this is what I've been using for a long time.
Oh, nice.
Heavy-duty flux remover. I don't know if we can sell this with like FedEx shipping rules and postal office shipping rules, but maybe if we can, if we ever revamp, or maybe add like some more premium tools to our shop, this would be a great thing to have. But if you're doing this kind of stuff, it's invaluable. Get a dirty, ratty toothbrush so you can spray this on your board, and then use the toothbrush to really, you know, get all the flux in every corner and then spray it off. But it's expensive, so.
Yay, good luck. Ditto, you got this.
Yeah, and dude, you gotta get onto you gotta jump on that EM repair class too, and just absorb the knowledge from people like David and the other coaches, Nick and Mr. Gibson, everything. Like, they're intelligent, incredibly intelligent people.
I've unfortunately missed class all of 2021.
I did last week
but
too.
I'll get back to it.
I was helping my coworker fix his Liberty Bell. Well, I was telling him what to do, and he amazingly just went through and did all of it without any like
It's such a
peering.
rewarding feeling when you fix something and it works again.
We're gonna rebuild his pop bumpers this weekend while I'm doing the ones on strikes and spares back there. It'll be fun.
Leaf Carrot, are you still here? Leaf Carrot saw roller games in Art Bar.
Yay!
Did any other machines move around Columbia? I know you just have been moving machines around like crazy, Kyle. Do you want to update the world on where some new games are to play in your hand?
Yeah, for like the 3 people in Columbia, South Carolina that are watching this, probably you, Leaf Carrot, and Steve, and maybe MGM Studio. Yeah, I put Meteor and roller games into a bar here, which was pretty cool.
Rock and
Roller games. It's fun. We put a Donkey Kong in there too, so now we've got some fun pinball over there. We're going to put some games in another bar in a couple weeks, hopefully, at the New Brooklyn Tavern in West Columbia. Probably put Kings of Steel over there until we can get another or a better game working. I like Kings of Steel, so actually that's a great game. But yeah.
Where'd you put Baby Pac-Man?
Oh, Baby Pac-Man, that went to Transmission Arcade. Everyone loves Baby Pac-Man. I love Baby Pac-Man. I kind of want it back because I started playing it seriously.
For you, Mr. Carrot. All right, Jeffrey Jones asked, I noticed you keep saying corrosion. Does it bother you when people call it battery acid? Because technically it's opposite from acid and is alkaline.
It is alkaline. Now, I can't say that it bothers me because I say the same thing all the time. So
battery acid, you slime. You know what quote that's from?
No, what is it?
This is battery acid, you slime. And it goes, no?
No?
Anyone? No?
I'm bad at quotes.
All right, Kyle, it's 4:56. What is the best beer to drink on Mars?
Any. Because I don't think there's a lot of liquid on Mars anymore. I mean, there's ice, but any beer is better than the lack of beer that exists there, right?
D. Valansky is virtually attending a San Francisco history beer event tonight. His payment included a mixed 6-pack that was delivered within hours.
Oh, awesome. I used to service a game for a guy that was one of the brewers at Anchor Steam Brewing in San Francisco. And that has a neat history back to San Francisco's days of being an actual port city. Yeah, kind of neat. I think that's what I enjoy most about beer, is like the history, right? Like in Egypt, they just pulled out, or the history and the tradition. They just like uncovered like one of the largest like commercial or mass breweries in ancient Egypt, and I thought that was really fascinating. I don't know. Traditional things.
Got my quote.
What is it?
It's from It. In Stephen King, It, the original.
Oh.
He sprays his little inhaler on its face, and he's like, so they, no?
I don't remember.
Colin is asking, did you get the hop slam? Did you get the hop slam?
No, mostly because I've been way too lazy to go grocery shopping after work. So I haven't actually gone to the store that might have it.
I take it back. Magic Ditto got it.
Wait, who did? What? Oh, Magic Ditto again?
Wait, that was Seth Green? Oh, man. I mean, I haven't seen that movie in like 25 years. What? Really? Anyway. I know. I got to go back and watch it now. Question. I don't know. Oh, that's the question I was looking for. Pin Daddy 41. Important class question. Is not removing flux after you are done doing the work bad?
Leaving flux on for a long time can cause nasty issues of its own, so it is recommended to remove it. Especially if you're like slopping it on, like I will with a brush. If you know, solder itself has flux in it, so if you have like a little pile or puddle of flux around where you were soldering on, you should get rid of it, but if you don't, it's not going to destroy everything. But again, if you saw what I was doing, I was slopping it around the sock, you got to get rid of that because it will do some damage. Eventually, it might not be in your lifetime, but it's best to get rid of it. My flux is getting old. It's time to replace it.
You've used it through all of this year, PinTech.
Yeah, I think I've also had this can of flux for 5 or 6 years. It's disgusting. It's time to replace it. It turns into this gross crystalline substance. I can't even close the lid anymore. Blech. I was trying to gauge the acceptance of my lovely wife to see how much of a workshop she'd let us turn our new pinball room. And she was totally okay with me having a small table to do some messy, dirtier stuff in there. So it's exciting.
Nice.
I broke 2 of my cardinal rules when we bought our house. I said I never want to live and own a house where I have to have steps to get in it, and I never want to own a house without a garage. And the house we just got has 9 steps to get up onto the porch, and it doesn't have a garage. So it's harder for pinball. It's the house I lived in Oakland had 14 steps to get in it and a landing. That was really fun to drag Twilight Zone up and down every time I moved it.
Yeah.
But
all right. So it's 5 o'clock. We're going to find someone to raid for everyone sticking around on Twitch.
Emoto's I want to go.
Someone else.
Stop talking.
Midget's sick. He needs to rest.
Did you get those pictures on Slack, or should we save those for next week?
I did, but I really like them, and I want to save them for a quick segment for next week.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say what they are. Don't say what they are. And we should add more to it, and then just do a fun little
It's one of the most creative flipper repairs I've ever seen.
No. Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. So Magic Ditto asked, what's that EM class you mentioned? So funwithpinball.com, I put the link in the chat. They do monthly, sometimes more, awesome online repair seminar. You sign up for it, so that link will give you where you can sign up to their mailing list so you can get notified on when the next one is. I think the last one was last weekend, the weekend.
Yeah, last Saturday.
It's awesome. It's all about EM games. You read and learn about schematics. You can come in as just a viewer, or if you actually have an EM game that has a problem and you have a camera and a microphone, and you can apply to actually get your game serviced by the amazing technicians that run that live stream. So you'll have your camera, they'll tell you what to look at. We'll look at schematics together. And a lot of times they have success in fixing the machines. So really, really great seminar. Diva Lansky, who's in our chat room all the time, when we're lucky, because he's awesome. He's one of the coaches in that class. And if you haven't been to this class yet, dude, it's completely free. It blows my mind.
It's a good way to spend a few hours. Because again, I think I say it all the time, but spending time around people who are smarter than you, the more you do it, the more knowledge you will gain from osmosis. So listening to these people talk will help you in your plight of getting your old EM working.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, sign up, meow. Right, meow.
Right, meow.
Okay, Pin Daddies, last question. If
Okay.
a part is out of stock, can we harass Kyle by email to get it back in stock? No, hit the back in stock button on the part website, and right under the price it'll say email when back in stock. And that is a very tried and true way, because it pings Kyle's department and lets them know that item is out of stock.
But you can bug me.
It's not working.
You can absolutely bug me though, because I can at least try to give you an accurate representation of when it might show up. But it is a good idea to do the email me when available thing, because especially if it's something that
higher up on the list.
Well, if a lot of people have, want that thing, and you're the one that's fast on the trigger, and our website does work live. As soon as something goes into stock, it is shown in stock on the website. So if we only get 2 of something, and there's 15 people that want that email me when available thing, if you're the first person to get there, then it's yours. But don't ever hesitate to just send me a quick email, because if I have time, I will let you know. I did get an email from, I don't remember your name, but someone did ask about coil sleeve kits. Someone did send me an email about that, and I do want to work with them to try to get the Zachariah, I think, soccer.
Zachariah ones.
Yeah, we'll work on, he can send me and I can help him identify each coil sleeve, and we can make a coil sleeve kit for his game, and he can order it, and that'll be fun.
He says, I hit the button, I always do, but it's been a long wait. What part are you looking for?
Yeah, what part is it?
And then in the meantime, Jonathan asked, what brand of toolbox do you have, Kyle?
This is a B&...
It's just kidding, Pin Daddy. We totally remembered that it was you looking for those Zachariah stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it was Pin Daddy. I didn't remember your real name, and I didn't want to say your real name, but yes, okay, that will be good. I'm going to send you an email on that soon. I had to get here early so I could actually fill in all the gaps in the studio. What was the other question?
Did we ever get a mirror blades?
That's a long, complicated question, but yes and no.
Short answer?
Short answer, not right now. Long answer,
not yet.
Kind of.
Pin Daddy is his real name. All right, guys and gals.
I thought there was another question I skipped over really quick.
Oh, okay, let's see.
Wait, well, what was the part? I think that's what we were waiting for. It's send me the part you're looking for, because I might be able to tell you.
Oh, it's Pin Daddy.
Is Kyle interested in buying any machines? Yes, maybe. Oh, toolbox, yes. Toolbox. It is a B&W International Jet 5000. I think you can buy their toolboxes online. B&W. Here.
B&W?
No, there's a plate I can take off.
Oh, I was like, I can type it. Jet 5000?
B&W International. Yeah, I got it at Fry's Electronics, and it had pallets in it and everything, so I like them. I like this toolbox. It's been good.
All right.
There are the fiber or the textile pallets are starting to wear out a little bit. I got a screwdriver blowout, but whatever. I've had that toolbox for like 6, 7, or I've had it for a while. I've used it for a few things.
No, we do not have those particular toolboxes at Marco. That's Kyle's special super duper.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, it's a
technician box. You should get them.
It's a German toolbox. I know that they're made in Germany. I'm sorry, I'm on my phone now.
Yep. I got a message. No, you don't, Midge.
Yeah, you can go online. I mean, they have them on Amazon. Well, they have similar ones on Amazon for like $200. Other websites have them for like anywhere from $170 to $200. So it's a good box.
Well, everybody, we'd love to stay here for 3 more hours to chat with y'all, but you guys got to go do stuff, and we're going to raid Mystery Pinball Theater 3000 because it's been at least a month since we've raided, and it's one of our favorite streams. He's playing Prospector right now, probably at Free Gold Watch.
That's a great game.
San Francisco, if I had to guess. So let's go hang out over there for a little bit, and we'll see y'all next week. And we're going to do Jungle Lord. Finally.
Really? Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. That was fun.
Yeah, and we got to see Perseverance. Was that his name?
Yeah.
Land on Mars, and they photoshopped all the aliens out. Typical. Bye, everybody. I want to do my little splash. Splishy splash, splash.